Welcome to the first Red Yeti videocast from the Vaux region of France in the Alps at about 2,000 metres outside the Refuge de la Balme. When we say hut to hut in the Alps in Britain, that's the kind of hut we generally mean. Thought I'd just go through the pack that I would be taking if I was just doing hut to hut. I am taking more than this because we're actually camping as well, and I'm also taking some photographic kit. But for just hut to hut, this is what I'd be taking. This particular pack is fantastic. It's a Go-Like Pinnacle. Really comfortable carry. It'll carry a lot of weight very comfortably. We didn't get them at first because we weren't at all sure that these hip belts, the wings here, would actually be capable of carrying weight comfortably, but they are. They work really well. We've known people that have had them for a couple of years and have swapped packs with them for half a day here and there to see how they work with very heavy loads. In Iceland last year, I say very heavy, 16-17 kilos around there, which is heavy enough as far as I'm concerned, and that was for camping with 6-7 days of food. No problem at all. I wouldn't be put off by these hip belts. The pack itself I've slightly customised to have a camera harness on it, so this isn't part of the original pack. These attach the size of the camera, and they're meant to be adjustable there, but the tape I'm using is too small, so I've had to tie it on, but it's only a prototype. It works very well, however. The camera is also clipped in, something I've sewn on there, so that it doesn't swing forwards and come up and hit me if I fall forwards or stumble, and also to stop it slapping me in the belly as I walk along. It's held on by a piece of elastic like that. All prototype at the moment. But anyway, back to the pack. This is the new version of the Pinnacle. It's got the wings with the pockets on them, as opposed to just plain wings. And these pockets are fantastic for keeping those bits and pieces and small cameras handy if you're not carrying a lumping great SLR like I am. In the pockets I'm carrying such things as a pair of small-size sunglasses, very light, 10 grams, and if you trim the bottom millimetre off these things, they'll fit happily into one of these Granite Gear pots that they sell their stuff sacks in. Granite Gear stuff sacks are very good as well. The gloves, I use Extremities Terra Nova by any other name. Extremities, very thin liner gloves, synthetic. I get very cold hands, these things work wonders for me, and I've had them out in the last week. It looks lovely now, but it's not always lovely. If it gets really rough, then I stick on mitt shells, just event mitt shells. These are from Mountain Laurel Designs, and they've been roughly waterproofed by me across the seams, and they work in tandem with these things. You put these on, slip your hand inside there, and it'll keep it nice and warm and relatively dry. Also, of course, compass to hand in the pocket, and all that is held on because I've had one of these blow away in a high wind. It was doing about 65 miles an hour. Held on by one of these Odyssey's screw gate carabiners. Very highly recommended. These things won't pop open like the normal snap gates. If you load this the wrong way, it'll just pop off. And I've actually had that happen. I had a bit of gear fall off the rucksack. I found it, but it was only on with one of these snap gates. Needle Sports in Keswick, needlesports.co.uk, sell those. On the other pocket we've got some lip sunblock. I always keep the torch very handy. It's surprising how often you need to torch fairly quickly. Even towards the end of a day, you walk into a hut, it's bright outside, the door closes, the guardian says, oh, put your shoes in here, swap into the sandals and I'll show you where your room is. You can't see a thing because you've been in bright sunlight all day. So having a torch handy is useful. GPS, never really use it, but it's handy to have handy. And a Kestrel, which is just something that measures everything, you know, wind speed, temperature, altitude, all that kind of thing. Not necessary, I just like it. The front pocket on these sacks is great, it swallows all kinds of stuff. I keep waterproof socks in here because we use the Terox which are just mesh. There's no waterproofing there. I'd much rather have waterproofing separate to my footwear, so that if the waterproofing fails, and it will, then you can just buy a new pair of socks and not a new pair of shoes, and vice versa. I keep them there so that if it suddenly starts raining, I can just put them on quickly. I also carry a Source hydration bottle, very light, only about 23 grams. I start out with a platypus hydration pack, with only enough water to last me till around lunchtime, because I'm assuming I'm going to be passing a stream or a fountain where I can fill up in the Alps and keep going. I don't want to carry an entire day's water with me, unless I'm going very high, where I know it's very high and rocky and there may not be any streams. The Tyvek hut sandals have been handy. I usually use the hut sandals provided by the hut, but they've been very useful. I've already made a blog entry on those. A couple of Ortlieb bags. One of them's pretty old and been repaired. These are absolutely bomb-proof. Ortlieb waterproofing. They've never let any water in under any conditions. Everything else I've known has failed at some point. I've only managed to get one of these to fail once by putting it down on something sharp that punctured the rucksack and went all the way through it, but anything will fail. Well worth having. Also I keep two, because that's mainly just iPod and phone, and also cards, and that's just cash, so that if I'm paying by cash or cards, they're separate, and if I lose one, I'll leave it on a counter or something. I've got a way of paying still. A spare bits bag, which has a bit more than I'd normally take for an overnight or something. It's got a spare tube of seam grip, because if your shoes start blowing a seam or something, you can repair it with that. It's very tough. There's also a spare tube of sil grip for sil nylon in there, along with some magnet tenacious tape that is phenomenally sticky and repairs just about anything, including sil nylon tents. But also the big important thing in there is the Dyneema cord, very strong gear cord that's used for anything you want to repair, especially shoelaces. If you break a shoelace, that'll do it. And some spare bits and pieces for my camera harness prototype. Also some platy patches and some sterilising tablets. That's it for the front. Oh, hanging inside there, I keep car keys if I'm driving in somewhere, but obviously no driving at this point. A spare torch, one of these little Photon Freedom micro lights. They weigh 6 grams, just ridiculously light little torches. Well worth having as a backup torch. Being a Yeti, some nice hairbands for me, and some rubber bands as part of the waterproofing of the system inside. I'll show you in a second. And also, hot tip for hut to hut in the Alps is a nappy pin, a diaper pin if you're American, something that won't come undone easily. You can just attach your socks after you wash them the night before to the outside of your rucksack and pin them on to make sure they don't fall off. Just tying your socks on probably means they're not going to dry, and possibly means they're going to fall off anyway.